my god. Hi. It's been a minute since we've had just like a fun, silly little get together. I'm sweating. We're under a heat advisory. Love that for me. But we're here to talk about the Midwest Bookish Fest. I had the time of my life. This was my first time going to like a full-on book convention. It was in Minnesota. It was a bit of a haul, but it was like a whole weekend of authors and vendors and panels and a ball. Yeah. I reached a state of euphoria I've never reached before in my life. The whole book con was amazing. They had authors you would see at like Barnes & Noble. They had like Adeline Grace and like a couple other authors that are like traditionally published. And then they also had like so many authors that are like indie authors, self-published, just not in the traditional publishing space. They had the author that wrote the Stuffed book, the book about a sentient pillow that gets freaky. I went mostly for Adeline Grace. I'll say it. She never misses. I love her books. They're astounding, and I love them. But then I also got to meet some really amazing authors and get to talk to them and hear about their book. And it made me just want to come home and write my book so that I can sit next to them at the signing hall and talk about books with them and sign my book. And it made me so excited. Before I went, though, I had only known one author on the list of authors. There were probably like 100 authors. There was a lot, and I only knew one. And I knew that wasn't gonna fly for me. So I went through their entire list of authors, and I Googled every author, and I Googled their books, and I did a little like look-see to see if any of their books stood out to me, and if I wanted to read them. I found several. These are just the ones that I was able to get on thrift books for like less than full price because your girl's thrifty. And these were the ones I read right before the event. Yes, it's only $6. Don't start with me. I read another one on audio that doesn't have a physical copy. And that author didn't even get to make it. She had an emergency and she didn't go, and I was really sad because I really liked her book. Anyways, I digress. I want to talk about these books that I read before the event, and then we can talk about the books that I bought at the event. The first book that I read was a book that was already on my TBR and had been for a while. In My Dreams, I Hold the Knife by Ashley Winstead. And this one it's very much giving The Secret History. It's about 6 friends in college and this like unsolved murder that really tears this friend group apart. Literally because one of them died, and also because they really drifted apart after this. Everyone pointed fingers at each other, and it was just rough. It's told in dual timelines between when they were in college and then also at the 10-year reunion when everyone has kind of separated and then come back in like different pairings. So all the couples that were together in college are now broken up and with someone else from their friend group. It is messy. Everyone's a suspect. Everyone's reliving the night that their friend died through the eyes of each other, as well as the victim's little brother. He has been working nonstop for the last 10 years to figure out what happened. Let me say, I did really like this book. However, I do feel like it ended with a little bit of a plot hole that was supposed to make you be like, oh my god, the narrator is so unreliable. But it's also just kind of like, would that really have happened? Like, could that really happen? So I'm a little skeptical about the ending, which is just a logistical thing. But overall, I liked it. It was very compelling. I read this very quickly. I couldn't put it down. I couldn't figure out who did it until like close to the end. After like everyone else had kind of been ruled out, I was like, oh, I bet that person did it. And they did. But that was In My Dreams, I Hold the Knife. Next up, I read In Other Lands by Sarah Reese Brennan, which she didn't even have on her table, which was disappointing because this one I liked. It was a little rough to get into at first, but once I got like the flow of it, I was in it. It feels like it's a bunch of fanfics that got put together because every chapter is a whole year in the main character's life. His name's Elliot. Elliot allegedly was born normal, grew up 13 years living in our land, and then he got tested to see if he had a gift, if he was magical, and if he did, he got sent to the Borderlands, where magical things exist. There are harpies and trolls and mermaids and just all kinds of mythical creatures, as well as a super hot elf named Serene Heart in the Chaos of Battle, and a really annoying golden boy named Luke Sunbearer, I think is his last name. It's a little on the nose. Luke Sunborn or something. I bet it's in here. I bet if I just flip to the page I can find it. Elliot. God, he's so self-centered. Sunborn. Anyways, Luke and Serene end up in like the battle side of the Borderlands. They're in like a military school, and so Luke and Serene are like in the warrior side, and Elliot is like, I can solve anything I want to with the power of my big brain. I love Elliot in the way that he's the dumbest person I've ever met. He is so book smart and like just not even remotely smart when it comes to social situations and other people, and just he has no social skills like whatsoever. It's hilarious. And the plot is, what's Elliot doing today? It took a while for me to figure out what the plot was, and maybe I'm just dumb, and maybe it was stated but I just didn't understand it. But once I figured out that it was about this military school and they were trying to make peace treaties with all the other magical creatures in the realm, then I like really got into it. It was good. I gave it 4.5 stars, I think. I don't think I told you what my rating was for In My Dreams I Hold a Night. Got 3.5, one knocked down because the plot hole. 4.5 because it took a little while for me to get into it. But moving right along, I'll Stop the World by Lauren Philman. This book is about this kid, Justin, whose grandparents died when his mother was an infant. They died in like a horrible fire at the high school. The whole like school and everything is named after him, and his mom is like, she's really fucked up from it, honestly, because if my parents died horrifically when I was a baby and I was like put into a family that didn't love me, I would also be fucked up. Not even gonna lie. Justin just really wants to get through the day. He's really not trying to achieve anything, do anything. Any dreams he has, he's like, he doesn't think he's gonna achieve them. And his best friend, he has a huge crush on, but he's like not worth anything to her romantically because he like can't even get into college, and he just is like big loser behavior basically. One night he gets super drunk and he drives, which is not good, and he gets into a car accident and he gets thrown off the bridge, and instead of dying he ends up in the past, in the year that his grandparents died, about 2 weeks before they're going to die. He has to solve a murder that hasn't happened yet. So it ends up being set in like 1985, and he meets this girl Rose, and they have to solve the murder together. I gave it 3 stars because, again, to me it was extremely predictable. Not as far as like how the murder happened, but like other parts of the plot and the characters. They were just kind of annoying. When I met the author, she was on a panel and she talked about how much she loved doing multiple points of view in a book, and that was overwhelmingly evident in this book, and I feel like the multiple points of view distracted from the fairly basic plot line, and they didn't serve a huge purpose, except that's just what the author wanted to do because it's her book and she wrote it, and that's what she likes to do. Which is fine, like, get your bag. That's your thing. It's just not for me, and I did not enjoy it. And that's also fine. We can all have different opinions. It has like 12 different points of view. It was a little predictable. So that's I'll Stop the World. Moving right into Pride Month with My Fair Brady by Brian D. Kennedy. My Fair Brady is about 2 boys in high school that both end up joining the play, an actor and a techie, and the actor is a little self-centered and arrogant, and the techie is a little shy and reserved. And they team up, and they have their own My Fair Lady situation where the actor is like pulling the techie out of his shell and forming him into like a fully actualized person. Let me figure out their names before I start yapping my little butt off. Okay, Wade is the actor and Elijah is the techie. This one, it was cute and fun and silly and whimsical. I felt bad for Wade the whole time because he is kind of like a snobby actor, but like he's also just like a little guy that deserved to be loved. What was funny to me when I saw Brian D. Kennedy at an author panel, he talked about how much he hates writing background scenes and like, what does this character's bedroom look like, and what are they wearing, and what are they eating, and what are they doing? And that is a super evident in Elijah's room because it's like blank walls. And he was literally like, oh, my dad decorated it with just like wilderness stuff. And so he got out of having to give Elijah a personality by making that the the main focus of the book. Like, he didn't have to think about what Elijah would wear or what he would put on his walls, because that's part of Elijah's character, actually, and part of his personality, is that he doesn't have anything cool or interesting or fun on the walls that he likes. And that was funny to me. 3.75. I don't know why I gave it that. It wasn't a 3. It was closer to a 4 than a 3. And that's my fair rating. Next up, I read Together We Rot by Skyla Ardent. And this book is about Will Green and Elle Wood, which are astoundingly similar names. I have to get that out of the way. Will is trying to figure out what happened to her mother. Her mother is missing. Elle Wood is trying to escape his family's cult. And that's not a spoiler, even though it happens halfway through the book. This book is like 200 pages. And so for the first 100 pages, you're waiting for Elle Wood to get out of this cult. And then the rest of the plot happens in the last 100 pages. The pacing of it was really weird to me. I feel like the first half was really slow. And then the second half was really good. Will is very headstrong, and she's like really annoying to everyone else around her because she is trying to figure out what happened to her mom, and everyone is like, your mom just fucking left because she hates you. And she's like, no, she wouldn't do that. But everyone is telling her to like get over it. And then Elle Wood is super sheltered and like never disobeys his family, and they are extremely cultish, and they have their own church in the woods, the Church of Adam or whatever. Elle Wood has literally been groomed to take over this cult or whatever when he gets older. But then a lot of weird shit starts happening when he starts disobeying and he runs away, and him and Will have to figure out how to like escape this cult. It was so good in the second half, and it was so interesting, and the detail was really good, but the first half was so boring. It was really gunning for like 2 stars at first, and then the back half was really interesting, so it landed at a 3, and I'm just disappointed with the pacing of it. But I think there's so much potential in here and in this author to give me a good book. I'm just disappointed in the way that this one shook out. I feel like if we just jostled up the pacing a little bit, this would have been a really, really, really good book. And finally, I read Brood with Love. I saved this one for last because I was the most excited about it. This is by Shelley Page, and she was an absolute delight. And this book was also absolutely delightful. It was about a teenage witch who is trying to make a potion to cure heartbreak after her like childhood best friend moved away when they were freshmen, and is coming back to work at her family's apothecary witchy store. She's like being raised by her grandma, and her grandma is like, yeah, I hired Jimena because she needs a job. The main character, Sage, is like, well, damn, I need to figure out how to get my spell right. And so she's like the whole time working on a heartbreak spell. And meanwhile, the whole town is very witchy, and all the shops in this town are very witchy. The magic that exists in this town can only exist in that town, and like, so a lot of tourists come by, and they get witchy potions and stuff, and then if they get out of city limits, it like loses its magical potency. And a big box store apothecary set up shop in the town next door, and so Sage's family's shop is like running low on business because this other apothecary that's like mass producing goods, apotheques, is like ruining everyone's life. And on Jimena's first day at the store, it gets broken into, and Sage's heartbreak tonic recipe gets stolen, as well as some of the tonic that was a bad batch. And it was administered to the head cheerleader, and she loses all her memory, and if they don't fix it, she will become permanently amnesia'd. They're trying to figure out who broke in, how to fix this amnesia. Also, Sage and Jimena might have feelings for each other and might be in love. And also, people have been seeing a wolf outside of town. Really weird coinky dink. It was cute, and it was fun, and it was silly, and it was whimsical. I gave it 3.75 because I did predict a lot of the things that happened in here. But that's fine. I still had a good time. I still liked it. That was Brood with Love by Shelley Page. So, those are all the books I read for my pregame to the Midwest Bookish Fest. Now let's talk about all the books I bought at the Midwest Bookish Fest. And by I mean my husband. Over the course of 1 day and a half, my husband and I racked up 15 new books. I'm only going to show you 14 because one of them was his. So he gets one, I got 14. One of these we're both going to read. Other than that, it's all for me. Obviously, the first book I had to get, Holly by Adeline Grace. This is the only book in her collection that I do not yet have. And now I do. And it's signed. This is a novella companion book to the Belladonna series, which is about a girl named Signa who cannot die. And everyone around her seems to be dying. And she swallows a bunch of belladonna and she confronts death and she says, "What the fuck, man?" And he's like, "How are you alive?" Maybe they fall in love. Who knows? Anyways, this is the like Christmassy companion to that series. It's the only book I didn't have from hers that I could get her to sign. So I bought it at the event and I had her sign it and I met her and it was wonderful and she's the nicest person and I love her and I hope someday to write as good as she does. Next up, a book that was on my TBR that was never on thrift books for less than $10. The Vending Portal by Judy Liu. This is about two sisters who, on their way home from school, find a random vending machine and they get sucked into it and it transports them to another dimension. It's her debut novel. It looked super fun and cool and I cannot wait to eat this one up. This was one that I kept checking thrift books for and then I was finally like, it's too late in the game. It's the Monday before we leave for the event. I can't buy this book and get it here in time and read it before we go. So luckily she had it and I was able to get it and she signed it and she's lovely. And that's The Vending Portal. Next up, I met this random author. She was very charming and charismatic and she talked me into buying one of her books just with her sheer whimsy. This is Refining Balance by K.N. Mila. It's a sapphic book about a ballerina and that was literally all I needed to know. And it was $10. And it's pink, and I love books about ballerinas. I feel like being a ballerina is my calling that I never got to answer. I love ballerinas. I think they're gorgeous, stunning, beautiful, perfect, and I wish I could be one. And maybe someday I will. Who's to say I can't be? I can do anything I want to. But this is a lesbian ballerina book. And that's all I needed to know. That's all you need to know. That's all I need to know. If you can hear Stinky crying, please note that it is currently 4:59 and she's about to eat dinner. She's fine. This is Call Forth a Fox by Markel Gravo, and this is about a girl who loves to hang out in the woods, and one day she finds a bear attacking a fox and she beats the shit out of the bear until it lets go of the fox, and then the bear turns into a human and he doesn't remember anything except that he has to kill the fox and he doesn't know why. This is a sapphic twist on the classic fairy tale Snow White and Rose Red, and I can't wait to read it. This book is called Romantasy by Marie Roche. I don't remember how to say her last name. And that's all I needed to know before I bought it. The tagline is 2 heroes, 1 brain cell. She said the sequel was going to be called Situation Ship, and it's going to be set on a ship. And again, truly, that's all I know. That's all you need to know. I didn't even read the back of this before I bought it. Next, Project Destruction. This is by Anaya McCoy, and Anaya's first book in this series I had on my TBR was one of the ones that I wanted to get before going, and I didn't. And then she said this one was gay, this one was sapphic. There's a theme here. Anyways, I asked her, do I need to read the first one? And she's like, no, they all exist in the same universe. And I was like, okay, just give me the gay one. Just give me the gay one. That's all I need to know. The lady is holding a knife to the other lady's throat. I think it's about assassins. The first one is called Project Protection, and that's hot gay ladies with a knife. So I bought it. Next up, another book by Shelley Page. This is Charmed and Dangerous. Shelley Page was very proud of this one, saying that this is a traditionally published book where the main character is a masked black lesbian. That is not something super common, and she couldn't think of another book that had a masked black lesbian as the main character, prominently displayed on the cover, that is being traditionally published. If you can think of one, let me know. What really sold it for me were these little gnomes. She gave me a sticker of them, and I said, you know what, actually, I need to buy this book, because those little gnomes look hilarious. Again, did I read the back? No, it's the gnomes. The gnomes did it for me. We have No Matter What by Kara Bastone. I had Promise Me Sunshine on my TBR. When I got down to it, though, when I had all of her books in my hands, this is the one that spoke to me the most. I think this is her newest one. It's about a couple on the verge of divorce, and the soon-to-be ex-wife is looking to improve her artistic skills. She wants a nude model, and so her soon-to-be ex-husband volunteers, and so she kind of gets to, like, really take a long look at him while she's painting him, and it sounded very like, aw, I hope that they fall back in love no matter what. This one, Beneath the Sacred Well. Oh my god, I no idea how to say her name. Rocio Carenza? Lucio? Dominic! Can you come here, please? How would you say her name?
Rocio Carranza?
Thank you. This author was on the panel of queer artists, or queer authors, and I fell in love with her. She had a very chaotic bisexual energy and was very proud of that, and she was just very charismatic and silly and fun and chaotic. And so I had to get one of her books. This is one of the few standalones that were part of it. She said it was like, it had the same vibes as like The Mummy, which is also the most like traditionally bisexual piece of media in history. So obviously I had to get this one. I think this is the last book that was already on my TBR that I had wanted to read going into it. It was never less than $10 on Goodreads, and so here it is. This is Bargains with Benefits by Julian Witt. This is about a failing in. The owner is a half fae, and she brings in a fae journalist to help save it, and he's very arrogant. It sounds like Grumpy Sunshine, sounds a little bit like Gilmore Girls, sounds a little bit like I need to read it. And finally, well, not finally, but the last book I bought on the first day, this is Marjorie and Me by Melissa Grace. This book is soon to be called Where You Lead, and it will be traditionally published with a different cover. If you can see this sparkling urn on the cover, yeah, okay. So this lady is Kat, and she accidentally thrifts a haunted urn that holds the soul and ashes of a beloved deceased former Southern socialite who is a lot like a Southern Emily Gilmore, in Melissa's words. And how Marjorie helps Kat and how they kind of help each other. And it sounded so fun and cute, and I couldn't not get it with this beautiful urn. I hope I have a bedazzled urn if I get cremated. I'm not selling this well. Melissa did a great job selling this to me, obviously, because I bought it. So now, finally, I bought a trilogy. I bought 3 whole books from one person who I've never read a single word that they've written. Because I talked to him on the first day, and he told me about his books, and it sounded like a movie from my childhood that has stuck with me. It's one of the most like niche movies that I don't think anyone else has ever seen in their life. It's called Little Nemo. Not Finding Nemo. Little Nemo and His Adventures in Slumberland. It was like an 80s animated movie. And he told me about the premise of his books, and it sounded like that. And I literally went to sleep the night of the ball thinking about these books. Ugh. So the next day, Dominic and I stayed late at the event just to go back and get his books. Look at these! Look at these monstrosities. These are huge. This is called, that's the last one. Hold on. Gift of the Shaper is the first one by D.L. Jennings. Oh, he looks very different in his older picture. He had long hair when I met him. My light turned off because it got too hot. That's fine. Anyways, he said it was a completed fantasy series, and I was like, well, shit, just give me all 3 of them. I'm not going to buy them off Amazon. Don't buy books off Amazon. It's about the forces of good and evil, both vying for the control of the key that unlocks the other world. The very powers of creation and destruction hang in the balance, and only a heroic effort by Thornton, here's a who, and Mira, backed by the power of Athrani, can possibly stop the Keith, I'm going to struggle with this so hard, from unleashing ruin and the breaker upon the world. Okay, I'm not going to read the other 2 descriptions, lest spoilers come into play, but it's called Awaken the 3. The first 2 have a matte finish. This one is a glossy. Days of the Dark is the third one. Me just realizing what these books, I didn't touch them, I just bought them. I just spent a lot of money on them. Anyways, those are the last books I bought at the Midwest Bookish Fest. Midwest Bookish Fest. And overall, like a 9.75 out of 10 experience. The ball was a little bit disappointing. I'm not even gonna lie to you. No one was on the dance floor for Hot to Go except for me and my husband. And I was expecting something more like grand because it's called a ball, but it was much more low-key. It was definitely giving like your second cousin's wedding, where like some people are dressed in ball gowns and some people are dressed in like business casual. My battery's gonna die. Oh my god. Hold on. Anyways, the ball did not feel like a ball. It felt like homecoming. You know, it felt like prom. It felt very like, they weren't playing any like ballroom music. It was all like party rock anthems and stuff, which like people were dancing to it, so like that kind of fits the vibe. And like honestly, there were maybe 3 couples there total, so I know I'm coming from a very privileged take of having my husband there to woo me and spin me around the ballroom. I know, okay, but that's what I wanted for my birthday. That's all I wanted was to go to a bookish ball, and I did. So we get to cross it off of our bingo. Because also, not only did I go to the ball, I got a bookish tattoo. Okay, so I went to a bookish ball and I got my bookish tattoo. I am 2 steps closer to getting a bingo. I've read 8 of my 12 nonfictions that I want to read. I went to an indie bookstore. I did a buddy read. My friend and I read Wuthering Heights. I did the oldest book on my TBR. I'm counting the dress I made for the Skin and Its Girl as an art project, because it is, because crochet is an art. I've still only read 1 poetry book, and I did get a bookish t-shirt. So out of my 25, I've done 7. This is hard, okay? We're gonna get through it. It's just, bingos are a marathon, not a sprint. Is that worse for everyone in general or no? I can't tell. Let me know in the comments. Anyways, that's my bingo. This is my mid-year bingo check-in. Next time you see me, I'll have a bingo. That's probably not true. I don't know where to put this. And this is my Midwest Bookish Fest wrap-up. The ones I pre-gamed with and the ones I got at the party. If these were drinks, I'd be blacked out. I had the best time. Midwest Bookish Fest was amazing. I hope to go next year. I probably will. I'll just get tickets regardless. I did apply to be an influencer. We're manifesting that. I'm really hopeful. I've never influenced at an event before, but I had the time of my life and I loved it. And Good Books, Cute Legs, she transcends. She's an icon. She's a trendsetter. So hopefully we get it. If not, I'll still attend and it'll be so much fun. And maybe one day I'll be on the other side of the tables selling my book. And that's one of my bingos. That's one of my goals for this year, is to at least finish the rough draft. So I can add my book to the pile. And my book can be in other people's piles. Getting ahead of myself. Very excited though. It's called manifesting. Let me know what you thought of this new angle and this lighting situation. And if you went to Midwest Bookish Fest, tell me about it. Wasn't it so much fun? Did you have the time of your life? I had to sit down after like 30 minutes walking around that author's like signing event because I was so excited. And I had to take a breather. This doesn't even include all the other wares that I purchased. But anyways, ta-da! Thanks for coming on this journey. I had a blast at Midwest Bookish Fest. Can't wait to go next year. It was so much fun and amazing to see and meet all these wonderful authors and to get to talk to them and get to hear more about the writing process and what it takes to go into a book and everything that goes along with it. I can't wait to read all of these books. They're calling my name. I love you. Keep reading. Keep being empathetic and stay educated. And happy Pride. And I love you. And I'll see you soon. Okay, bye!